So welcome to the open day for the Diploma in Silver Metal Clay. So this is a one-year course to train in silver metal clay, and we start at complete beginner level and go through to professional jeweler by the end. And what we mean by that is that you can make and sell pieces, you can take on commissions, you can run your own business, and you can make a really vast array of things. And actually you get quite advanced in silver metal clay by the end of a whole year of training, as you can probably imagine. So hello, for anyone who's not met me before, my name is Jessica Rose. You can call me Jess. I'm the founder of Jewelers Academy, and we train thousands of people every year in jewelry making skills and techniques, and also help them to set up and run successful and profitable jewelry businesses. So that is our mission. And whether metal clay is right for you or a different technique or medium, we just want to help you get to where you are going with your jewelry journey. And I love that online we can do so much together. So quick question for those of you who have joined me live: have you made jewelry with silver metal clay before? I'd love to know like what level you're at, if you have never tried it but you just love the idea of it, or if you had a go but you'd like to learn more, or if you've done quite a bit and you just really want to advance your techniques. We do have some people join us as students on this diploma who have done quite a lot of silver metal clay but just really want some formal training in it, and want to go a little bit deeper and revisit some of the projects. So Rachel says, I've just finished a 6-week beginners course. Amazing, Rachel. I feel like that's long enough to get the bug, the jewelry making bug, and want to do more. Aisha says, yes, I did a course back in 2011. Amazing. Created a few things since then. Kelly says, yes, doing some right now. It's in the kiln. Love that, Kelly. Victoria, yes, as part of the silver diploma. Yes, we do cover a few weeks in there, and that's a great kind of taster to it all. I did the silver diploma and use it quite a bit in my work, says Lisa. Twice in a workshop, says Gemma. So lots of you guys have tried it. I love that. So you kind of already have a flavor for it, which I think is quite a good way to enter into a year-long program, is to feel like, okay, you kind of had to go with the material, you like it, and now ready to sort of take it to many more levels. So I think the thing for me that silver metal clay does over and above perhaps other mediums of jewelry making is it really unleashes our creative side. So yes, we start with the cookie cutters and that can be great, but we really move on from there. And because it is clay, it literally can be shaped into anything. And because the material has only been around for a couple of decades, it is still so experimental and new in terms of you can really carve your own niche within this medium. And if you just like working with clay, you like kind of building things up in that way, especially as opposed to perhaps like sheet, it really lends itself to the more kind of slightly organic, detailed, textured type of jewelry. So if that is something that you are drawn to, and quite tactile, I think as well, I always think of it as quite like, it's nice to touch, it's nice to feel, then this could be for you. And I know that's what drew me to it, because I learned both. I learned metal clay and I learned traditional, and I love them both, I would say equally. But the thing that I love about metal clay is it just brings out a different side of me that I don't get with the traditional silver work. And you know, it might be the same for you, or perhaps you picked a side, which is fine as well. It's fine to have any preferences in your jewelry making. So the diploma is a 1-year online course. It's all done online and remotely, the same as our other diplomas. It follows the same structure, so it's 3 terms. It starts in September and they roughly follow the school year here in the UK. So it's sort of September to Christmas time, after Christmas to Easter, and then after Easter into the summer. And we recommend you put aside at least 7 hours a week, which is 1 day, which is really flexible. So you can either do it on the same day every week, or you can mix and match. You can do an hour each day, you can do a couple of afternoons, you can do as much as you like. And once you get into it, you're probably going to want to do more than that if you can squeeze it in. But we do have lots of people who are fitting it around full-time jobs, or perhaps they're running a business and a full-time job and doing the diploma. So if you are super busy, then don't worry. As long as you can find 7 hours somewhere, then you're going to be able to fit this in, which is important. So this diploma is suitable for beginners. So we do start at the beginning, but many people have had a little bit of experience. So it's a bit of a recap, and then it's kind of moving forwards and getting more advanced. And I think with metal clay, like even if I'm making the same piece that I've made before, I'm learning more because I will make it better. I will refine it better. I'm working with the tools. So nothing is lost, even if you're kind of going back a little bit and starting at the beginning. We very quickly build and then get to really quite advanced by the end. So there's nothing wrong with a little recap as well. You don't need any previous qualifications or anything like that. So it is open to absolutely everyone. So how it works is there are weekly lessons which are released each week. They are professionally filmed by a film crew with our incredible tutors, who I'll talk about in a little bit. And you have lifetime access to those. So once we've released a course, you work on it hopefully that week. Of course, if some weeks you can't, you can catch up the following week, but we encourage you guys to stay on top of it. Those of you that have done the Silver Diploma already know how it works and probably have your like routine and stuff around this. But like I said, you'll have access to those going back. So we don't give you everything on day one because that would be super overwhelming. We do week 1, week 2, and we work through it together as a little crew, as a little cohort, which is really nice. And the metal clay groups, like all of the groups are amazing, but they're so lovely. Like it's a smaller group than say the Silver Diploma because it's a bit more niche. So there's usually around sort of 30, 40 of you guys, and you just get to know each other really well. And you get to share your projects with each other and share the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, share about tools, share about your businesses. It's such a wonderful kind of micro community within the community, which you'll be part of. So you have the weekly lessons. You'll also have fortnightly group Zooms. So these are in smaller groups. So for example, if there are 30 of you, there'd be two different groups, 15 and 15. And yeah, these are the people you'll get to know really well because you'll meet up every fortnight online and you can ask questions, get support, get to know each other. There will be a mentor in the group. So your mentor will be running your group. So you'll get to know them really well as well, which brings me on to the one-to-one mentoring, which is a really important part of all of our diploma programs, is that we never want you to feel like you're on your own with your jewelry making. So not only are you part of the community, but you are given a dedicated mentor at the start of the year, and you will meet with them 6 times throughout the year online. So they will get to know you, they'll get to know your jewelry, they'll be able to give you individual feedback on what you need to do in order to grow, and also encouragement on what you're doing right, because we all need that as well, don't we? Little pats on the back as well. There's the Facebook group. So this is your place to kind of connect with everyone any time of day. It is staffed by the Jewellers Academy team Monday to Saturday, so 6 days a week. Just Sunday we let them have a day off because we're that kind. And so there are the fellow metal clay lovers who are in the group who will be able to answer your questions and offer support. So you are never far away from a question being answered, or if you just want to share something or have some ideas, and we would love to kind of hear them and be part of that. So you're fully supported, you're working in small groups, and we work through the curriculum, which I am excited to share with you now. So let's have a look. So we kick off at the beginning. Week 1, we're going to be making silver metal clay charms. This course is taught by Julia Ray, who is an incredible part of the metal clay community. Also, I should let you know that there's a whole world of metal clay. If you don't know this, it's like a thing. It's a cult, but it's not a cult. So we have conferences, like we all know each other. It's really so wonderful. And Julia Ray was actually one of my first jewelry tutors ever. And she taught me how to teach jewelry making, which was awesome. And I was like, I'm not going to need that because I'm starting a jewelry business. I'm not teaching. And it wasn't long before I was, and absolutely loved it. And that became kind of my main thing. Anyway, I digress. So Julia Ray is quite prolific in the metal clay world. We have a few metal clay celebrities, which I'm going to introduce you to today if you don't know them already. So who better to get your first kind of take of silver metal clay from? So she's going to tell us about how to make charms and how to work with the clay. And just a recap for those of you that have done bits before, but also for those of you that are new, we're going to be introducing you to this wonderful magical material. which is super easy to do from home, which we love. So week 2, we move into fingerprint jewelry and personalized jewelry. So this is great if you're thinking of building a jewelry business. I teach this course. I actually ran a fingerprint jewelry business back in the day, and it was very successful, and I really enjoyed it for a while until I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. But what's really nice with fingerprint jewelry is you can do it with like children or family members or whatever, and you can literally push the prints either into the clay, or there's a way to do it using a molding compound so you can send kits out to people. So I show you how to do fingerprint jewelry and also personalized jewelry, and also talk quite a lot about the business side of it, because I learned a lot from doing that business in terms of how to get consistent good results from prints and all sorts of things. So that one's a really nice fun one, and everybody loves personalized jewelry. So learning how to use the letter stamps, how to do stones for creating a birthstone. So that's a really nice one to kind of take us into week 2. Then week 3 is the silver leaf and botanical jewelry with Anna Campbell. This one I love because we're getting into more the organic nature of metal clay, and it just lends itself to this so beautifully. To make these in traditional silver, it is possible, but would require a lot of tools, machinery, hammering, trial and error, and it is really a relaxing process, I would say, to make botanical jewelry in silver metal clay. So we're going to send you out on a foraging hunt to go and find your botanicals, and then, as you can see in the picture, we work with molds, we work with the clay, and it's just a really nice opportunity again to explore your creativity. I think some weeks will challenge you technically, and other weeks will just be fun. And for me this week, it's just fun. It's like we get to just make stuff that is beautiful and gorgeous and very commercial, I would say. Botanical jewelry sells really well as well, so that's always important. We're thinking about how you guys can learn and develop technically, but we're also thinking about how you can make profitable businesses, because for most of us, that's really important. Week 4 is the adding gold to metal clay week. This is one of my favorites. I struggle to make any pieces of jewelry without a little touch of gold in now, because I just love the warmth that it brings. And the great thing is that you don't need to make solid gold, because that's super expensive, but there are a number of ways that you can add touches of gold to metal clay that are really different from other ways of working with gold. So there's 3 ways that we cover in this week. 2 of them are marked as part of the diploma. One of them is a bonus one if you want to try it. So these little golden nugget necklaces, we work with casting grain and embed it into the clay, which is really fun, very satisfying. We work with KMBoo, which is a process of applying a thin layer of gold on top of your silver metal clay using heat and pressure, which I've done here with the pineapple and the kind of Easter egg. And then there's also painting with gold. So the reason why we don't mark this on the course is because you do have to buy a pot to do it, and it is a bit more expensive. So it's optional if you want to try it or not. But you can buy a pot of gold paste in metal clay and actually paint it onto your jewelry, which I just think is kind of mind-blowing still. And that's what I did with the little baby acorn. It's kind of in the background of that picture there. So absolutely love that week. I teach that one, and we have a lot of fun adding gold to our silver metal clay. So you can see we're starting to kind of build things up here. So we've done a bit of stone setting, we've done some textures, we've done some molds, we've done some metal clay. So week 5, we're kind of bringing those things together and saying, okay, how can we make a piece using all these bits and pieces? So this is called creating a piece using embellishments and metal clay. And we also cover some more techniques, which is embellishments. And again, I love embellishments. They're like the tiny little bits and pieces that you can see here. So you can make a scene, you can make, any kind of design that you want. Again, really your creativity is coming out here. I've used a mixture of stone settings, little kind of embellishments in terms of leaves, shells with my little dolphin, all sorts of things. So it's really nice to kind of explore, now that we've created all these different elements, putting them together and how we can think about it in terms of design in an individual piece. Then we move on to a little bit more complex stone setting. So week 6 is the stone setting in metal clay. So we go back and cover how to set CZs, but we also look at cabochon setting. So this is setting a natural cabochon, so a stone that you need to set after the clay has been fired. So metal clay shrinks, there is a shrinkage involved. So when you're working with natural stones, you can't put most of them into the kiln or torch fire them. They will just crack and discolor, and it's no fun. So we need to set the stone after the piece has been made, but there's shrinkage. So we're learning how to work with those dynamics and how we can still create beautiful settings and set our stones. We also show you how to work with glass and how you can set glass into the clay. So there's 3 different techniques that's covered in there, which will get you really used to working with the stone setting, different types of stone setting for silver metal clay. Then we move on to ring making. So ring making is quite intermediate, I would say, in metal clay. When we're working with traditional silver, we start with a ring because it's just bending it round, soldering it. But with metal clay, again, there's sizing. And because it's a clay, it's just a little bit more to think about in terms of making the ring, but it is highly achievable. And Anna Campbell teaches this course. She will teach you how to make a couple of different styles of ring. You'll do some stacking rings, which you can see on the right. They are great fun because you can add your embellishments, your stone settings, whatever you want, your textures to them. And also on the left, you'll learn how to do a D-shaped ring in metal clay, adding a stone setting and also carving. So there's lots of different variations that you can add to your rings in your metal clay. Then we move on to week 9, which is the polishing and finishing week. So I always think the main difference between kind of amateur jewelry and professional jewelry is the finish. And many people will tell you that it takes as long to polish and finish a piece as it does to make a piece. And in silver metal clay, we're kind of working with the polish and finish the whole way through. So we don't wait till the end and then we polish and finish. How we're refining it, how we're sanding it, the work we do in the clay stage is going to really help us as we move towards the final stage. Having said that, there's still a lot that we can do at the end, especially if we notice there's any things that need to be edited or removed. So this is another class that I teach because I love polishing and finishing, and we figure out different ways that we can get our pieces really nice and shiny. Which brings us towards the end of term 1. So we finish up with a photographing your jewelry week because we again want to interlace building these jewelry businesses alongside what you're doing. I know a lot of you guys already have a business that you started and are developing. So we encourage you guys to take pictures of your work from the first term if you haven't already, to be sharing them. And there is a course on how to photograph your jewelry as well in here. So that is something you can work through. Then you have a couple of weeks to get everything finished off and shipped away to us, because at the end of each term you are going to be sending us your work. We will get it to your mentor, who will have it in front of them and be able to give you feedback on your individual pieces, what you could do to improve, what's worked really well, and that will happen at the end of each term. So that's term 1. Are you with me so far? There's a few favorites from term 1. Rings and stone setting definitely calling me, says Lisa. Yes, I mean, a match made in heaven. Rings and stone setting, what more would you want? Working with gold, I love K and Boo and adding elements to. Yes, love that. I'm with you, Victoria. And Andrea says, I think the gold too and the rings. Yeah, I mean, if you got gold, you got rings, you got stone setting, you can't lose. So term 2, we've built the foundations in term 1. Now we're really kind of ramping it up. Okay, how can we, knowing what we know, how can we get a little bit more outrageous with some of the things we're doing? So we kick off with shape stone setting and metal clay with me again. Love this course. I just love the bling. I love the stones. So we've done a bit of stone setting, but now we're learning how to create settings for shaped stones. So you can see in this ring project, which can be a ring or a pendant, we've worked with some pear-shaped stones. We've worked with some larger stones as well. And we're working with lots of stones together, and how we can kind of create something a little bit more, a bit out there. There's a little bit of embellishments in there too. So that is a really fun way to kick off term 2. Then we're starting to look at the 3D element of the clay and how we can create beads and hollow forms. So in this course, you'll learn a few different types of beads, lentil beads, you'll be creating wraparound beads, and how to add decorative elements to your beads as well, because metal clay is perfect for making really beautiful decorative kind of beads as well. Then week 5, oh, we went from week 2 to week 5. Oh, I think it must be week 3. Sorry, typo there. Week 3 is soldering in metal clay with Anna Campbell. So those of you that have done soldering before are a little bit ahead. But if you haven't done soldering, this is going to be really helpful for you. Even if you have done soldering before, soldering with metal clay is a little bit different because it is fine silver. It's a little bit more porous. So there's some different elements that we need to think about when we're doing our soldering. But if you are terrified of soldering, Anna will sort you right out because she covers it in a really easy to kind of follow way. And we focus specifically on the kind of soldering that you'll need to do with silver metal clay. So soldering like we have here, these beautiful Highland cow cufflink backs, and also these beautiful butterfly earring backs. These are the kind of elements of soldering that you need to be able to do. So whilst you don't need to be an expert in soldering to do metal clay, because a lot of the stuff that we do doesn't need soldering, it's important that you're not scared of it. And it's important that if someone says, oh, could you make those but in studs? You're like, yes, I can do that. I am on top of that. I can go back to Anna's soldering course and do it along with her, and I will be just fine. So that's a nice kind of one to make sure that we have in the bag. Week 4 and 5, we get onto some more kind of sculptural work. So we're coming back to rings. This is a lovely project from Anna Campbell, and this is the box ring making in metal clay. So you can see here, there's lots of different variations on how you can do this, but this is a hollow ring. So it's a box. So there's a top, a bottom, an inside, an outside, and lots of different things to think about. And of course, you can kind of add your decorative elements, you can add your stones, you can add your embellishments, you could even add some K and Boo, you can do what you want. So this is a really nice way to explore some different technical elements of working with the clay, which we'll move on to more and more. And as Anna said, they're very popular and lots of fun. We have a couple of weeks to do that one. Lots of the projects are 1 week, but as we move forward and get more advanced, some of them are 2 or even 3 weeks, because we want you guys to have enough time to be able to finish and create the pieces to send to us. Week 6 and 7 are bespoke textures in metal clay, again with Julia Ray. So a lot of the work that we do in metal clay is using textures, and usually we start with shop bought textures, so things that you can buy from the shop, which is a great place to start, really effective, really beautiful. But it does mean that we end up with some very similar designs, because we're using, especially if we're using the same textures and the same cookie cutters, it can feel a bit, all the same. So having the ability to create your own textures is just another layer of creativity that you can bring in that will help with your own signature style. So I think Julia teaches, I don't even know how many different ways to make textures, like more than 5. And there are so many different ways, from things like using scratch foam to using polymer clay, just endless kind of techniques that she shows us. So what she'll do in the class is walk you through and show you all the different ways you can create different textures, carving, all sorts of things. And then we ask you to make a piece that combines 3 different textures on. So again, really using your creativity. We're really open with what it is that you're going to make, but how can we create something where the textures are really the key part of the piece? Because again, this is something that is harder to do in other jewelry making techniques. So we try and lean towards the things that silver metal clay is great for, because it takes texture beautifully. Awesome. Then we have some more advanced stone setting, because we all love stone setting. So this is called Fancy Bezels, Prongs and Bales. It took us a while to come up with that name. It's quite a long name, but we're here for it. In metal clay, and you will learn a couple of different types of stone setting here. So we have done we've done a cabochon setting previously in the previous term, but Julia Ray is covering how to do partial settings. So you can see from the bottom right corner here, there is a piece that has like a kind of sharp pear, and it's not covered all the way around. So we're starting to look at how we can do partial settings. The same with the lapis above, and how you can create different shapes in your settings, how you can add details in. So just adding that extra layer of challenge and excitement. That is the first project. The second project is how to do prongs or a claw setting in metal clay. And these are fire in place stones. So working with fire in place CZs, but how to use the clay to create the prongs and the claws. So we're getting a little bit more detailed. And I just think they look really beautiful. And it's a way we can add faceted stones that's a bit different to what we've done before. There's also quite a big focus on this class on bales and different types of moving bale, because we focus so much on the pieces that sometimes we forget about the bale, which is such an instrumental part to the piece as well. And then we finish up with a session together on growing a jewelry business, specifically in silver metal clay, and what things we might need to think about for that that's different to, you know, your standard jewelry business. So that one is always a lot of fun, and we kind of have a live Q&A session together. Brilliant. Finish up every term with a couple of workshop weeks, which you will be grateful for when they come round, because we frantically get all the pieces together, polish them, finish them, and send them off, and trust that what you have done is good enough, because it always is. Okay, so then we're moving on to term 3. Now, term 3 is a little bit different because it is a series of masterclasses by these super famous metal clay tutors, which if you are part of the cult of metal clay, you will know them. But if you don't worry, I'm here to introduce you to them. So this is a wonderful Joy Funnell, and I feel like her name is what she is, just Joy. She's awesome, all about the color. So Joy is a senior art clay instructor, and she's also a craftsman of the Guild of Enamelers. She is our enameling specialist. She has many, many years experience in silver metal clay, and really passionate about sharing it with everyone. And I'll show you her masterclass. So this is for 2 weeks. We're going to be working on enameling in metal clay, because you guys will have a kiln, because it's important to have a kiln for this course. And if you don't have one, this is your permission to get one, because you need one now. So, you know, you didn't have a choice, you have to. And when we have a kiln, we want to make sure we get the best use out of it. So not only will you be firing your pieces in there, but it's brilliant to use for enameling. And silver metal clay, because it is fine silver, is the perfect background for enameling. It is easier to enamel on silver metal clay than traditional sterling silver. So Joy will show us how to make these beautiful kind of decorative enamel pieces. You'll learn how to work with the different colors. She actually makes the little owl in the bottom right corner in the class, but you can either follow along and make the owl, which we kind of recommend doing the first time, or expand out and try different techniques. So you'll be working with cloisonne, which is using little bits of wire, adding bits of silver metal clay in, adding texture around the edge. And I just love these. They're so full of joy. A lot of fun to make. Then we move on to the second masterclass, which is with the incredible Anna Mazon. If you haven't seen Anna's work before, go check it out. It is honestly mind-blowing what she does with silver metal clay. She's an award-winning metal clay artist with over 15 years of experience, and she makes these really stunning, intricate sculptural pieces. Her photos are often published on the covers of trade magazines because they're really quite striking. And she's been teaching workshops since 2013. She's just a pretty cool person all around. So we have a couple of weeks to work on the sculptural rose garden, which she made just for us. So this is a pendant. I'm going to try and describe it for you because there's a lot going on here. Pendant. There's lots of kind of decorative vines. So we're going to be working a lot with the metal clay to create these beautiful vines. You'll also be making roses. I feel like she was inspired by my name, which I'm here for it. We'll be making roses and kind of bows as well. So Anna's real passion is getting away from making things using molds, even though we love making things using molds, but to really like sculpture the piece from scratch using your hands. And she is so great at teaching us how to do that. We're going to be using lots of tiny little stones, and I don't know if it's obvious from these pictures, but this is a stone setting. So it's a reversible pendant. So if you flip it round, there's a beautiful stone on the back. So on the left, there's a rose quartz, and on the right, I don't know if you remember what stone that was. I think it's a chancery. So really nice. And again, there's movement in the piece. So we're working with lots of different layers here, and you'll learn so much from making this piece. And it's honestly super fun to make as well. Then we have the final masterclass, no, second to last masterclass with Tracey Spurgin. We have 4, so this is the third one. Tracey is so lovely. She's been teaching for more than 20 years. She's been featured a lot on Jewelry Maker TV. She has her own jewelry school. She's done all of the things, and she can make pretty much anything, I think, in silver metal clay. It's my experience of Tracey. When I ask her to do something, she's like, yeah, I can do that. And again, I always feel like her work is quite sculptural. There's lots of hinges, there's lots of details. And so she is going to be teaching us to make a poison ring. So a poison ring is a bit like a locket, but in the form of a ring. So there's lots of different elements to think about here. It is square in shape, so we need to make sure it all fits. So there's quite a lot of detail in measuring and things like that. There is a hinge, so that's an important part, a little hinge. There's also a clasp to be able to attach it on the other side, and she'll show you how to put a stone setting in, how to do all the embellishments, how to make the ring. So there's a lot covered in the poison ring. But again, these projects are meant to inspire you, encourage you, but also challenge you. So it's not about making it perfect, but in learning and having a go, your skills in metal clay and your confidence will skyrocket. Because when you go back after doing something like this to make, a simple commission piece, or, a simple ring, or a simple stone set pendant, you'll be able to do it with your eyes closed. So that's what we do on the diplomas. We push you further so that when you can come back, you feel super comfortable. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful project. Then we finish off with the wonderful Julia Ray. There she is. She is an award-winning jeweler, one of the most experienced and qualified metal clay teachers in the UK. She achieved the Metal Clay Masters Registry, which was a really challenging qualification that they used to have. It was like you'd kind of teach it to yourself and you submit projects. And she kind of just smashed that out of the park before everyone else. She's also the vice president of the Alliance for Metal Clay Arts Worldwide. Told you it was a club. She's the leader of the club, and she runs the Metal Clay Academy, which is a website that's been around for ages, and it just gives loads of resources on metal clay. So she's pretty epic, and she finishes us off with lidded vessels. So this is making using a screw to make a screw top piece, and you can see that there's lots of different variations on how you could do this. I think when they made these, like back in the day, you put like perfume in them, or you could put something in them, which is really cool. But again, it's working with 3D form, working with decorative elements, working with the screw mechanism. So there's a lot that we're going to be covering. The final couple of weeks, you'll be working on your final project. So we ask you to make a final project, which is your chance to choose what you loved out of the course and what you want to make into your own piece and your own design. You will be thinking about it before and ordering your materials so that you've got a couple of weeks to make it at the end. You then have quite a few workshop weeks. So we expect that you may need to go back over some of these projects and revisit them, which is absolutely fine. So we've factored that in. So sometimes people ask, like, what if I'm away for a week? What if I'm ill? There is buffer time built in for you to catch up if you need to. We encourage you to stay on track as much as you can, but we don't want you to worry about it or panic, because it is meant to be fun. These courses are meant to be fun. Our training is meant to be fun. You also get 2 bonus courses as part of the diploma. These courses are not assessed, but if you want, you can do them whenever you like. So we have the stone set hinged cuff with Tracey Spurgin, which you can see there. This is the only sort of bangle course we have, so it's really cool. You learn how to, again, it's got hinges on, so there's movement in it. there's a clasp, there's a lot going on in that piece, and it's a lot of fun. The reason why we don't do it as part of the diploma is it is ideal to have a bangle mandrel, and we don't want to add extra costs where it doesn't need to be. So you can choose if you'd like to do it or not. And also the paper metal clay course with Anna Campbell, where Anna covers 3 different types of jewelry making with paper metal clay. So that is a ton of fun as well. So I've already introduced you to quite a few of the tutors, but just a quick recap, and we haven't talked that much about Anna. Anna is epic, very passionate about metal clay. There she is. She's a qualified art clay and PMC instructor. She's completed courses with Art Clay, World UK, PMC Connections, and Rio Rewards in America. She's also a PGC certified teacher. She's been on Create and Craft TV, and she has her own Jewelry School Scotland, where she teaches workshops in Edinburgh. So absolutely wonderful person to learn from. Then the rest of the gang who you've already met. Everyone is so lovely, so giving, so encouraging. And we're just excited to bring new people in to the fold. And the question I always ask people when they're thinking about signing up for any of the diplomas is just, where do you want to be a year from now? And if you'd like to learn how to make all these pieces and you feel like that would help you either in your business or in your personal development, then this is going to be a brilliant course for you. In terms of the fees, the course fees for the diploma are £2,978. You can spread it over 18 months, so it's £167 per month. And we always encourage students who are, sort of unsure about the financial side of things to sell their jewelry and to try and sell what they are paying, so that it ends up being an investment and not just a cost. But, for some people, we just do it because we love it. And it doesn't matter what it costs. We're like, we're doing it. It's awesome. There are optional tool and material kits available. So if you would like the toolkit, these are provided by our supply partner, Metal Clay Limited, which is where I think most people get all of their metal clay stuff in the UK, pretty much. So they do a toolkit with all the tools you need for this course, and it is £555. And we all recommend that you get the material kit because it has all of the clay in that you need, using our own discounts, plus all the stones, all the bits and pieces. And that is £1,206, but it covers everything to make all of your pieces. Again, you can spread the cost of those over 18 months, and there are options to pay in US dollars for our friends over the pond as well. Like I mentioned before, you do need access to a kiln, which is your permission to get one. And we can talk more about kilns if anybody would like to, but you need a kiln that can work with silver metal clay and enameling. There are lots of different options available, and we can help guide you if you need any support in that as well. We do have limited spaces for the metal clay diplomas. We have limited spaces on all the diplomas, but particularly the more niche ones, because we have a specific number of tutors and the team is smaller. So, we want to create space for as many people as possible, but we definitely encourage early signups. It helps us to get everything in order. It also helps you to know what you need to get ready for, because September may feel like a long way away, but it is going to come in a flash. And if you sign up early, those people tend to be a little bit more prepared, mentally a little bit more ready, so that when we hit September, we're all cool as a cucumber and ready to go. We also ask people to ask themselves, again, with the financial element, is how many pieces of jewelry do you need to sell per month to cover the course fee? And I think it should be like 1 or 2. Depends on the pricing. Might do the pricing masterclass as well for that one. But yeah, and it's a great challenge to set yourself as well. So if you would like to join us this year, we would love to have you. You can go ahead and enroll on the link. Anna is going to post in the chat, or she may have posted it already. And yeah, we're just really looking forward to getting started and roll on September, and let's make some awesome metal clay pieces together. I love seeing like what someone's done at the end of the year as well with all the diplomas. I love seeing like the haul at the end. You're like, oh my gosh, that's so much work. There's so many pieces. And I think seeing, someone build up their portfolio in that way, and with metal clay particularly, it's so different, all of the pieces. Nobody's making the same thing. I mean, on some of them you are, because we're asking you to, but generally speaking, it's such a creative program in that way. And if you guys have any questions, do get in touch. We always love hearing from you. There's no such thing as a silly question. It's a lot of information to take in if you are new to us. And those of you that have done courses with us before, you kind of know, you know what it will be like. So I think it's just asking yourself, do you want to make those things? Because they're a lot of fun and we'd love to make them with you. Brilliant. Okay, are there any questions? I don't know if I've missed any in the chat. I'm sure Anna will prompt me if there are any coming up, or she may have answered them all already. Oh yes, Helen asked, which kiln do we recommend? So we recommend either the Prometheus mini kiln #1 or the Paragon SC2. The Prometheus mini kiln is smaller. It is more affordable, and it's small, but it's big enough for jewelry, and it is big enough to do enameling. I think for me, if you're doing it mostly for yourself and for your own business, that is a great place to start. If you're planning on teaching courses and you're going to have lots of metal clay in at the same time, you might want to go for the Paragon SC2. It's a little bit, got a bit of a bigger chamber inside. So yeah, it's just a slightly smaller and a slightly larger version, but you can fit quite a lot into either of them, depending on how chunky you want your pieces. Rachel asked, do we get the pieces back that we submit to be marked? Yes, absolutely. We're not going to keep your pieces, don't worry. Good question though. It does take us a little bit of time, because there is so you ship them to us, we ship them to the mentor, you have your session, they ship them back to us, we ship them back to you. It's a well-oiled machine, but it does take a little bit of time, but absolutely you will have all of your pieces back. And I know quite a few people on other diplomas who've sold pieces and they're just waiting for us to send it back so that they can deliver it. So as long as you can communicate with your customers, then that is fine. Or you might just need to make another one of the same for your customer. But yes, absolutely, you will have it all back. Brilliant question. Gemma asked, do we make exact replicas of the project for marking or our own take on that project? Yes, great question. Most of the time with metal clay, it will be your own take on the project, and we'll always make it very clear what we want you to do. There are some, I think there's very few in this program actually, where we might say, just do it like this, because it's very technical. So for example, with things like the poison ring, there are templates and things to follow. It's easier the first time to follow. But even if you wanted to, you could absolutely add your own flair. We really encourage your own designs to come in. We want you guys to feel not restricted, to feel like you're at one with the clay. I think it's important with this material in particular to feel a bit more flexible. So 9 times out of 10, if not more, you'll be doing your own take. However, if you feel like a project is really challenging and you just want to follow what the tutor's done, that's fine as well. You won't get marked down for that unless it specifically says in the criteria, which you'll get at the start of each term. We encourage you to read every week before you start the project, unless it specifically says we're going to be marking design for that piece, which sometimes we are. So yes, most of the time it will be your own take on things. Brilliant. Good questions, guys. Gemma asked, if we go with the tool and material kits, when are they delivered? This is a good question. They are delivered definitely well in time for the course. As soon as you order them, Metal Clay will get the information. They have them ready to go. So I'm not entirely sure on their lead times. We can check that for you guys, or Anna might know. But they will definitely get there well in time before the course starts. To be honest, with the materials, you don't want them too far in advance, because otherwise you might be tempted to use them. But yeah, we definitely make sure they're there like a good few weeks to a month before the course, so that you can get everything ready and kind of get going with things. Brilliant. Any more? I think we have covered most of them. Brilliant. Oh, Dawny says, is there any government funding we can apply to help with the costs? It's kind of a difficult question to answer. You can have a look and see what is available. It will probably depend on what your local government sort of situation is. I know sometimes we've had people get funding, but I think they've normally been from either Scotland or Northern Ireland. We are a private school, so it's not, it's not something where there's like a scheme to set up with it. But I think the best way that I would encourage you is to sign up for the longest payment plan possible and to sell pieces as you go, because it's going to set you up in a really good space in terms of motivating you to sell your work. And I always think that's a better way to start a business anyway than, I mean, it's always nice to be given things, obviously, but it's less sustainable. So I would really encourage you to, if it's something that you want to do, go for it and trust that you will be able to find a way to sell your pieces and pay it off. Of course, we don't want you guys to be in financial difficulty. If it feels like it's really beyond you, then it might not be the right course at the moment. But at the same time, we don't want you to not do it because of money, because that would be such a shame, because it's such a wonderful creative outlet and it's really made a big difference to a lot of people's lives. Awesome. Okay, I think we've covered all the questions. If I've missed any, then you can always get in touch with us anytime. Either email me, jessica@jewellersacademy.com, or come find us on Instagram. But yeah, just thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed having a look at all the different projects with me. And yeah, excited about the next year of Silver Metal Clay students and what we're all going to do together. Thank you, Anna, so much for your help in the chat as well. See you guys soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.